Hello, welcome to the Terror Express. Today on this episode, we have Brooke Bundy returning. Horror fans obviously know her as Elaine Parker from Nightmare on Elm Street's Part 3 and 4. Today, we're going to get to know Brooke a little bit better. We're going to celebrate her and her work. We're going to celebrate her as a woman. We're going to celebrate her as an actor, as a human, and as a mother. Brooke, welcome back to the Terror Express. I'm really excited to have you here for your second episode.
Thank you, Jason. It's a joy to be here. I've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Before we start, though, Brooke, I do want to let you know I do have a message from one of your Nightmare on Elm Street co-stars, which actually ties in wonderfully with this episode since it's airing in May. We have a message here from Lisa Wilcox, and I'll play the video.
Oh,
Brooke Bundy, happy Mother's Day. Being mothers, both of us being mothers, pretty cool, right?
I love
Now,
Lisa.
So she left that message for you and for this episode.
Also, just add one more thing onto Mother's Day. Is my daughter was born on Mother's Day.
Oh, wonderful!
So
I did not know that.
Yeah, she made me a mama on the day.
Oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. And I do have a guest co-host joining us today. She has definitely got me convinced that she is one of your biggest fans, so I couldn't not have her co-host. Listeners and viewers, obviously you'll be able to see this, but listeners, we do have Brooke Bundy's daughter, Tiffany Helm, joining us.
What?
Tiffany, can you hear? Can you hear us?
I can hear.
Right.
I can see. Hello.
Wonderful.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Jace. Gramps.
Hello. Thank you.
And Mom, did Jason tell you he's a recent? You can call him Gramps now. He's a grandpa. He has a he has a little Maverick baby.
My little Maverick baby. Yes, he is sweet. I'm really excited to have you both on here. Tiffany, thank you for being here as well. I'm happy to do this with the two of you. Tiffany, do you want to kick off with the first question, or shall I?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I get to do questions.
We've got some good questions for you.
Okay. So who were your favorite directors to work with, and who would you have wanted to work with but never did?
Well, I as a matter of fact, I heard an interview with Harry about the Americans, and she talked about Tommy Schlemm. Schlemm, is that the way you pronounce his name? Anyway, he was definitely one of my favorite directors.
And that's who I worked with in Under the Banner.
Pardon me?
You know that's who directed me in Under the Banner.
Yes, absolutely. So, and of course, Elia Kazan. I mean, you can't beat that one. But there, I mean, there's like a plethora of directors I would have loved to have worked with and learned so much from.
And what about the ones that you did work with? Like who were your top ones?
Oh, well, Richard, for one. Richard.
Of course, I knew you'd mention Richard.
Wow.
And that's Richard Michaels, in case.
I was just gonna ask
Richard Michaels, and he did like bunches of I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, and he did a bunch of stuff, and we just lost him in the past year, very sadly.
Very sadly.
But yeah, he was a big part of our lives for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. He did a pilot that I was in. Actually, it was a spinoff from the Brady Bunch. And he directed that. Yeah. So, and we went together for years. And I'm in touch with his wife, who is really, she's just an amazing woman and incredibly brave and courageous. So, I just keep sending her my prayers. I just, I know that I'm digressing, but it's one of those things I've thought about is because I'm a Buddhist and I believe that life is eternal. So there's that aspect. And then there's the other aspect, but I miss them. So between those two things, there's like this chasm, of like, one is your heart and one is your head. So it's really hard to connect those two things. And I've often wondered how you deal with, that kind of a loss. How do you live in the same apartment, house, condo, whatever? How do you look at the car that you used to drive? How do you open a closet and smell the fragrance of somebody's jacket?
It's got to be so hard. That's got to be
so hard.
But it's bittersweet because it's got to be. In a sad way, it would make you feel closer to that person. I would imagine. I've never lost a loved one in that aspect, as far as spouses or significant others. But I can imagine it's got to be. I try not to imagine it at all. It's just the thought of it is heart wrenching.
I talked to a very dear friend who lost his husband. And I said, how did you deal with it? He said, I moved to Italy for 2 years. So it's, fortunately he had the funds to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But then you ultimately have to come back. So
yes, I would be afraid of leaving those familiar areas that were shared. I think that would be more sad because you're losing more than your loved one. You're losing what was your life together, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sorry to digress, but when Richard's name came up, all I could do was think about his wonderful wife.
Let's go back a little bit. I want to go back from the earliest memory that you can possibly have of your childhood, from that point all the way up to right now. What is in your entire life, what are some of the things that you're most proud of? And if you could do just one thing over, what would that be?
Well, I think my career started at Camp Kehunka.
I've never heard of that one.
It's in New Hampshire. And we did a production of Three Little Pigs. And I was the second man with sticks. I brought the house down. I had everybody laughing. I don't know.
Did you have to huff and puff to bring the house down?
No, because I was
the wolf.
That was the wolf.
Yeah. The wolf.
I knew it was the wolf, but I couldn't
Jason.
avoid. I knew it was the wolf. I couldn't avoid the pun. I had to get it in there somehow.
You need to know these things for Maverick too. So
I know.
Up on these stories.
I do. I was thinking that myself. I have to get these old golden treasures out of my
or make it completely your own. It's like when bands who do covers of songs, right? If they make it completely their own.
I just did.
You did.
I did. The pig blew the house down.
Go for it.
I was also with Clarabelle the Clown, way in the beginning. But when I was on stage as the second man with sticks, I started to improvise. I think I was 8. Something like that. And I just started to improvise and everybody was laughing, including the counselors. And I thought somewhere in my monkey brain, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
That was magical. That was
the beginning of the whole thing, I think. I used to also love to watch children perform on I think the something hour, children's hour, I think it was called.
Children's hour.
Yeah, on Sunday mornings, very early. So I think that also gave way to me becoming a children's agent, because I was so impressed with kids acting and singing and dancing and juggling and magical acts and all the kinds of things, wonderful things that kids can do.
I recall talking about Madeline Zima with you in our prior episode. Yeah.
Darling Madeline Zima. So the whole Zima family, just incredibly talented. So that was that memory. And then going for JB, my dear friend Christopher Walken. I think I told you the story. Did I tell you the story? I don't want to.
It sounds familiar.
I think it was on the last. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that was, and then just standing and watching Christopher Plummer and Nan Martin and John Daly, just from off stage, just watching them every night perform, and every performance was different. And I was so. I mean, I think that was my major lessons on how to act. I didn't get into acting class until after the soap, so. But I learned so much from that. And then also Lucille Ball. I used to watch, I Love Lucy all the time. And so her humor.
I still do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's classic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and a friend of mine just sent me a clip from the Donna Reed show that I had done. I did 2 episodes. The first thing I ever did. And damn, I mean, I am Lucy Ricardo in that. I'm doing with Donna Reed of all people. And I could see her watching me. I mean, it's just a tiny clip, but I could see her watching me and really being a bit enchanted, very generous, beautiful, wonderful, kind, sweet lady. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life has always been one of my all-time favorite movies. So an opportunity to work with her was like, it's indescribable.
If there was anything you could do over again, is there anything that you would do over again?
Yeah, I did a Maverick. Was it a Maverick? No, it wasn't a Maverick. It was It's a detective show. I did do a Maverick, and I was okay on the Maverick, but I've got Maverick now in my brain. And it was
Me too. Me too.
It was a detective show, and I was just awful. I was terrible. And I saw it, and people watch it, and they say, "Oh, I saw you on." I blocked the name of the show, and I go, "Oh, no."
Tiffany, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Has your mother ever been awful in any of her performances? I mean, come on.
And I can't even speak to that because I really didn't watch too much of it. It's like I'd be on the set. I'm not going to be watching the soaps. I was in school. I never know. I would say for anything that I've seen, no, she's never been awful.
Say no. I would say no too.
No.
We're all our own worst critics.
Definitely. But it's so no, it's actually interesting because my mom sent me that that Man for the Hanging, which I think I posted on social media, that little clip of it, because she was like, oh yeah, because I did that Western genre class, right? And she was saying, oh yeah, I did so many Westerns, it's crazy. And that one where I'm riding the horse and shooting the bad guy. And I'm like, whoa, what? So I'm like, I need to see that, right?
Yeah, that's badass.
So it's more, I'm looking at it more now, right? Now I'm interested. I of course I remember the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family because those were like my shows at the time.
Yes, we had discussed
Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost, yes.
Oh, right.
So,
your crush, yeah.
Wesley Ure. So so I was more used to seeing her on set doing it as opposed to the finished product.
Right.
One day we were going, I think I was doing a mod squad, and I had the day off. It was an Aaron Spelling show. I'm pretty sure it was Mod Squad. And I was with Tiff. We were over at Paramount, and the light went on, which means you can't go in. And I said, they're shooting. And Tiff pulled me away from the door. She said, I don't want to get shot. I said, no, he's shooting the camera, trying to explain what it meant. But she was absolutely adamant. I do not want to go on that set. I don't want to get shot.
These are the stories I love to hear. This is why I do this. But Tiffany, do you want to go on to your next?
Yeah, next question. Okay. How did you navigate Hollywood in the pre-Me Too era? Any reflections on how women were treated in the industry?
What a great question. I don't, this is going to sound really weird. I think no one bothered me. I was like, it's not like I was untouchable. It's just and maybe I was stupid. But no one ever bothered me. One director invited me to his home for dinner, and he sort of began to put the moves on me. And I just started laughing and laughing and laughing. And he said, I think I'll send you home. So, but I was really, really protected. Bill Crosby I wanted to do his show so badly because I just adored it. And I adored the message and blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying to my agent, please, there's got to be a role for me on this show. I would love to go. And I would love to be in, because they shot it in New York. And my agent would go, oh, yeah, okay, I'll definitely be on that. I'll definitely check that out. And then I would see a show and there'd be somebody that looked exactly like me on it. And I'd call my agent and said, well, this part came out and I never read for it anything. And he said, oh, yeah, well, they decided to go with a New York agent, a New York actress. And I thought, oh, that's a weird rating, but okay. But so they were protecting me because they knew what was going on in that set.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, I've always been really, really protected.
That's good.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yes.
For all of the women and some of the men that have been involved with the Me Too movement, it takes so much courage, and you can see that it's been like years and years and years and years and years. And finally, they hear one person speak up and another person, and then they get the courage to join it and say it happened to me too. You think about the wonderful actresses who lost their careers because of Harvey Weinstein. It's just,
yes.
and the actresses that also went along with it and were able to, move forward, move up the ladder. But I mean, it's been around since year one. It's not like some big surprise in Hollywood or any place else. And I'm sure in advertising, in all kinds of professions, it exists.
Unfortunately, yes, it does.
Well, and can I speak to that too? Because I had a very similar experience when it was all coming out. I mean, I've had my experience on other things, but within the industry, I've always been really, really fortunate to work with just like very supportive men. I've never worked with a female director. I'd like to do that, but everyone's been really, really cool. And when I've told the story about getting fired off of Reform School Girls for backing out of my nudity clause, I was very careful not to demonize the director, and there were some people may be thinking that I was being apologist, and I wasn't, but I wanted to add to that because I don't know if I had mentioned that on your show, Jason, but Tom, the director, had reached out to me, I don't know, last year or something like that. I mean, I haven't spoken to him since I walked off the set or at the wrap party. And he actually extended the olive branch. It was really just a creative differences.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the thing that some people made it out to be. While I have had those experiences, they have not happened on the set. When I did the nudity on Altman's film and I was very nervous, he closed down the set for me. Mm-hmm. Right. So I've always worked. So it's been passed on from you, Mom, I guess. And knock on wood that I've been very fortunate in the industry that's never, or if it has, again, like I was clueless. Like,
it's like,
they were hitting on me, really? No, but I never felt that anybody was anything but appropriate on set.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. Now, you said you walked off set. Did you finish filming your scenes for Reform School Girls?
No, I was fired. I'm not in the I'm not in the final riot scene, the very final one, and the one where they're out in the field doing whatever work that they're doing. Those are the two scenes that weren't shot. So,
some things you learn.
According to SAG-AFTRA, the guidelines is you cannot be fired for refusing to do a nude scene. So even though you say in the beginning, yes, I'll definitely do it. And then you get on set and you say, I can't do it. You cannot be fired for that. They have to find some creative way of getting around that.
And how long has that been in effect?
Oh, for forever. Long time.
Yeah, because when I called them from the set, they said you can back out of the nudity clause at any time except for after it's been shot, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't told anything. Yeah. And who knows, if they want to fire somebody, they can say whatever the reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
really, I didn't want to be on the set anymore at that point. I'm like, I'm good. Exit.
My next question to you, Brooke, is kind of piggyback a little bit off of Tiffany's last question. With your career kicking off just before the second wave of feminism and the Me Too movement, segueing into the fourth wave of feminism, you've been a part of a lot of challenges, progress, and milestones regarding feminism in the movie industry. What to you has been the biggest success that we've achieved, and what remains to be the biggest issue that we need to continue fighting regarding feminism in filmmaking?
Another great question, and I'm not sure if this is an answer, but as you were asking the question, this is what came up for me, is that we're finally seeing women of different sizes on screen. We're seeing older women on screen. We're seeing women with gray hair on screen. We're seeing transgender on screen. So I think that, and slowly but surely, the salaries are becoming equal with men, slowly. So these are all kind of things that are going at a snail's pace, but it's just very encouraging when I see somebody. I watch a lot of Netflix, and I see a woman that is obviously in her 60s with a lead, not just the woman that lives on the farm kind of thing, but somebody who's hot, and who's enjoying relationships with, with partners and stuff. So it's really, and again, and commercials too. Commercials, I think, are always the front runner for what we're about to see happen in the industry. So what you see on commercials is what you're about to see in the industry. That's what I've always.
Good way to look out for what's to come.
So it's interracial connections,
Mhm.
Mixed children. I mean, you see some of these car ads and the little kids in the back, you can see that they're mixed parentage. And the thing of it is about that, to me, is we're watching evolution. I mean, watching these darling children with this beautiful skin and eyes that are just so amazing, and hair that's like either super fluffy or straight. And it's, that one parent is of one race and the other parent is of another race, and they've made this darling child. So we're watching evolution in action. So I think all of that plays into basically answering your question.
Tiffany, you have a very fun question that even I am really looking forward to the answer here. Let's get going to something a little bit not quite as heavy, but something super, super light and very important for you.
Yeah, and it's
your existence.
I don't I probably have heard this answer several times, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe it just has not transferred into my old brain memory. How you met my dad?
How I met your dad?
Yeah, like a little starting story about meeting my dad.
He was in a competitive high school. I went to performing arts, not performing arts, professional children's school, and he went to Quintanos. And we'd all be at parties together. We were all kids that were in the industry. And I first started going out with Brandon DeWilde, and we went together for years and years and years and years and years, and we're really deeply in love. I mean, I was 15, but we were deeply in love. So, and then we broke up, and Peter, I can't remember how it started, but he asked me out, and I know that he always liked little blondes. He always wanted little blondes. So we just started going out, and then we came out here. He got me a job out here to model on the Academy Awards, and I was getting closer to his sister Annie, who is an accomplished actress and gorgeous. Anyway, so I came out, and I did the show. We went back to New York. He did a play. We came back here, and we were living together. And I didn't tell my mother. So, and then we went back to New York, and she said, okay, we were going to drive out to California. She said, not that that'll ring on her finger. So he put a ring on my finger, and we hopped in the Jag, and off we tootled.
You drove a Jaguar from New York to California?
Actually, I think it was an Aston Martin.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had Ferraris, we had Aston Martins, we had Jags. I learned how to drive a stick on a 120 Jag. So
wonderful. I love that.
So that was that. And I remember driving across the United States, and I couldn't drive yet. And just reading You Can't Go Home Again. I read the whole book. So sort of symbolic of everything. And then, we came out here, and he worked, I worked, 1 week he worked, 1 week I worked. So we were both, working team.
How far into your relationship did Tiffany come along?
I think it was 2 years.
How was that, juggling your career with motherhood?
Well, I was doing a show. I was doing Grand Hotel, which was a pilot at MGM. And I knew the wardrobe girl. And she was fitting me, and she said, whoa, she said, somebody's gained some weight. I said, somebody's 4 months pregnant. She said, what? So we hit it. I wore a lot of coats.
Yeah. Tiffany, I'm so glad you were born from that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you are too. I was going to say, I'm sure you are too.
And just to touch on, because the car thing just leads me to, and I have a very good memory, like before I was driving, because my dad had still hung on to some of those Ferraris. He was like one of the starters of the Ferrari club. And
him and me, we were both starters.
Both of you, sorry.
Yes, we started.
But but he had one of them, that has the European steering wheel, so on the opposite side. And I drove that thing with him, obviously, in the car as well, down Pacific Coast Highway. And I'm like, so that's kind of a really cool snapshot to hang on to. It's
yes.
driving a freaking European style Ferrari down PCH, like at the age of 15 is like, okay, not everybody gets to do that. So
no. I have one more question, and this goes to both of you. And before I ask it, I want to say a happy Mother's Day to all my listeners, and to your single fathers as well. Happy Mother's Day. And to both of you, happy Mother's Day. For both of you, what has been your most rewarding accomplishment playing the role of mom?
And you're a dad,
know.
raising a kid, it's a series of events that are strung together, and they're, I mean, I just mentioned a snapshot, driving that car. So it's a series of these snapshots all strung together, and I don't think you can pinpoint any one thing. But tell you what, right now we have the youngest, who's 17, sorry. So the name of the game, my proudest moment, will be getting him through his teenage years alive.
Good luck.
Like
good
that's,
luck.
yeah, right. Not looking for Mother of the Year, just get these kids through it alive. But they just daily, they fill me with the joy and pride, and the difficult times are definitely eclipsed by the more major things. And it's,
yes.
So I wouldn't say there's any one thing. But I actually was looking back the other day, and was talking to John, my husband, about it. And I was like, I don't think I would do anything differently. I think we've done pretty well with our kids, the way that we've raised them and what we've done. And, I'm not talking about like when I get like short with them or whatever. But like just looking at the bird's eye view of it, I'm like, I don't think I would have done anything differently. Like I don't have any regrets about raising the kids.
It's a great answer. And I think it's different and Brooke, I have a daughter, she's my only kid. So it was different, like I said, perspective for me. It was a little bit different because I was like the only guy in her life growing up. We watched Dirty Dancing. She wanted me to be her Johnny. We'd watch The Wizard of Oz. She wanted me to be her Tin Man, to her Dorothy. We would just, but then that damn Justin Bieber had to come along when she was around 12 years old, and I've just never been the center of attention since. But she turned out to be a wonderful young lady. And Tiffany, you're right. It's not one thing. It's a string of things that you just outside the box hope that they can take and run with and collaborate everything into one big, beautiful person. And I think we've done that. Brooke, how about you? I don't want to cut you out of there. I started bragging on there a little bit more, but how about you with your mom role?
I have, like Tiff said, that there's so many snapshots I have of her and me. She was taken unbeknownst to me to Europe, and I had a hard time finding her. So that was an adventure. And I just remember the time when I finally did find her in Denmark, and holding her and being pursued, racing up the stairs at the airport and running into the airport, to the passport controller's office and locking the door, and then sneaking out and getting her on a plane and flying back to LA. But those moments were just, it's like, what you do. There's nothing you wouldn't do.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't do. But I also have another memory that I really enjoy. I think about it because I think it had an effect on her that was really profound. When Tiff was 4, she went to a school called the Little French Dollhouse, which is this kind of fancy schmancy nursery school for very rich children. And I wasn't rich, but somehow managed to get her in. Anyway, so she became very good friends with a little girl who was African-American, mixed child, who was absolutely gorgeous. I think her name was Nicole. And the both of them became fast friends. Nicole's father was a CPA for a lot of Motown executives. I mean, he was up there someplace, and they had a Rolls Royce, and little Nicole would have a suitcase with her every day. I don't know if you remember this, Tiff, but every day she would change her clothes midday into some other outfit. So I can understand why you were like mesmerized by this kid. So, and I think they had a chauffeur. Anyway, so one day you asked me, we were living on Sherborne, I think. And you asked me about her, and you asked if she was going to become lighter or you were going to become darker. What's the deal with skin color? And I don't know if this is a 2-part experience, because for some reason I had 24 eggs. One were brown and one were white. So I think I saw this coming and then I bought the eggs. I think that's how the whole thing played out. Anyway, so she asked me again about her little friend, Nicole. And I said, I'll show you this. So I had a bowl, 2 bowls, and I broke the white eggs into one bowl and then the brown eggs into the other bowl. And I put the shells away and I changed them around. And I said, okay, which egg goes to which shell? And Tiff looked at both of them and said, they're both the same. And I said, exactly.
That's a beautiful story.
So you've got like, you know, the poignant, the like thrilling story, kind of terrifying. You have the poignant story. So I'll just finish up with this one because I just told it to John this morning. My pointy hat.
Oh,
so when I was very young, I had this hat and I absolutely loved this hat. It was this like pointy hat, best hat ever, wore it all the time. And then like all of a sudden I stopped wearing it, just wouldn't wear it. And finally my mom was like, you know, where's your hat? And I was like, and she pressed me on this. I'm like, I'm not going to wear that hat. And I think I even burst into tears. I was like, everyone's going to think my head is pointy. And honestly, I don't know at the time how you managed to keep a straight face when I said that.
I think I was probably biting my cheeks inside.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was in tears about it.
Yeah,
you know,
you were.
So.
I think we were on Westwood Boulevard, and it was cold, and I couldn't figure out why isn't she wearing her little cute hat?
Well, I thank you very, very much to both of you. Tiffany, thank you for co-hosting with your mother, and Brooke, thank you for coming on. To both of you for the second time onto the Terror Express. You're both very lovely guests, and I look forward to interacting with you, whether it be here, social media, or any place that I'm able. And I wish you both.
I'm going to be in Pasadena in June, and then I'm going to be in Indiana, I think, in July.
So I can definitely share that information and promote that for you.
And hopefully I have some announcements coming up soon too. I hope. Fingers crossed.
I will promote anytime, anywhere for both of you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
Thank you for always being best host. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hugs to little Maverick.
Oh, I will every day. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.